Okie dokie, we should be live. We should be live. Just a quick little live stream, guys. Talking some boxing. I think we are live. Yeah, we're live. We're live. I was second guessing myself. Yeah, just a quick one, really. Talking some boxing. Wishes for next year in regards to boxing, fights we want to see, things that need to happen, etc., etc. January is quite a quiet month. Traditionally it always is for boxing, but as I'm sure you all are, I'm hoping for big fights next year. I'm hoping for big fights. Big up to Felipe Percher in the house, Reese Mason. Big up to Reese, Angel. Big up to Angel or Angel. Big up to yourself, man. Big up to yourself. Hopefully you guys are keeping well on this fine Thursday evening. One more day of work, then it's heading out to the New Year's party tomorrow. That should be fun. And on the weekend, I intend to get on my grind. No rest. Yeah, you've got Ioka. He's defending his flyweight title. I've not really done too much research into his opponent, to be honest, Felipe. But obviously, we have Charles Martin versus Luis Ortiz. Now, obviously, that being on pay-per-view is not a good look. But the fight itself isn't bad. It's not a bad fight. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You've also got Frank Sanchez on the undercard. Jonathan Rice versus Michael Coffey 2. Victor Vickhurst is on the undercard. He's a good heavyweight prospect. So yeah, there's some decent fights there. Big up to Jiho Park. Fantasy fight. George Foreman versus Larry Holmes. Who wins? I actually think Larry Holmes beats both the young George Foreman and the old George Foreman. I actually think he knocks out the old George Foreman. He drains him, drags him into the later rounds and stops him. But I think the older George Foreman goes the distance but still loses. But that jab of Larry Holmes, in my opinion, is too dynamic. He's too active with that punch, and I think he'll offset George Foreman. Larry Holmes could get hurt, he could get dropped, but I think he outboxes George Foreman. I think he beats him stylistically. Yeah, his opponent's decent, hits hard, never been stopped, but obviously not as good as Ancajas, but still a solid late replacement. Yeah, I would need to do some research, to be honest. Yeah, Ortiz Martin is a decent heavyweight card, but definitely not pay-per-view. I'll stream it. Yeah, me too, bro. I'll probably catch it the next day. You've also got Demarison versus Gerald Washington on that card. That could be good fun as well. Two mid-tier heavyweights. Neither guy's great, but I think stylistically that should be a fun fight. Demarison is more aggressive, whereas Gerald Washington is more of a boxer type. So that's a good fight. And yeah. But January isn't too hot right now. There's a couple of good fights, like Gary Russell Jr. versus Mark Magsayo. That's a good fight. I think Gary wins, but Magsayo is big for that weight, and he can punch. So that'll be interesting. As of right now, Eubank Jr. versus Liam Williams is still scheduled for January. Hopefully that still happens. I like that fight. Danny Hinad, what do you think of Serenko wanting to fight Gassiev as his step-up fight? His last bout was definitely fixed. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see that fight, Danny. I would like to see Serenko versus Gassiev. That's a good fight. Very good fight. And in regards to his last bout, I saw the stoppage, and yeah, it was very, very dodgy. What do you think Kern's agenda is here regarding the White-Fury fight? Is he trying to keep Fury inactive or keeping White apart from Fury so he can have White versus Joshua? Honestly, I don't think it's that deep. I do think Team White are just trying to get what they can out of that situation. They want the most money possible, and I don't blame them for that situation, but I find people who are putting it on Fury very disingenuous. Dillian White was the guy who chose to go to arbitration with the WBC. He wants 45% of a potential purse split. And if you read the WBC rules, if it's a full WBC champion fighting a WBC interim champion, yes, initially the interim champion in writing is worth 45%. However, that can be vetoed by the WBC with a vote within the WBC under special circumstances, such as one of the fighters being significantly more valuable than the other. And Tyson Fury absolutely is a lot more valuable than Dillian Whyte. I think last year Tyson Fury was the highest paid boxer according to Forbes. So yeah, Dillian Whyte asking for 45% is unreasonable in my opinion. He's chose to fight for that. I don't blame him. That's on him. But he made that choice, and if it prolongs his wait for a heavyweight title fight, so be it. He made that decision. I'm just sick of people telling outright lies. I heard people tell outright lies about what was offered. Like people were saying it was $5 million. It was $5.5 million or 25%. If 25% is more than 5.5, Dillian Whyte gets that. So if the 25% is worth like $7 million, Whyte would get $7 million, if that makes sense. And I thought that was a perfect starting offer for Dillian Whyte. People were saying it was lowball. I disagree. I totally disagree. I think 70-30-ish is right for that fight, to be honest. But there you go. I think there's a lot of lies being told surrounding Dillian Whyte, and there has been for quite some time, regarding his whole situation with the WBC and not getting title shots. He's not made it easy for himself. But there you go. I was really looking forward to that fight. Tony Yoka, Martin Bakole. Great fight. Hopefully it gets rescheduled, Felipe. I was taking Tony Yoka. I do like Tony Yoka. I think he's talented. And I would have taken him in that fight, but fingers crossed that gets rescheduled. Oh yeah, me too. Me too, XMB45. Don't get me wrong. If you're Dillian Whyte, you're going to fight your corner and you're going to want the most money possible. But all I'm saying is Tyson Fury having an interim fight in between the arbitration, that can't be held against Fury. I don't know what people expect. Do people expect Tyson Fury to put his career on hold for Dillian Whyte? And also, if you're Tyson Fury, why would you negotiate with Dillian Whyte when you don't know what the purse split is? For all you know, you could be overpaying him if the arbitration rules he's worth 30% and you've offered him 40. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I don't get what people expect from Tyson Fury in this situation. But there you go. Smith Jr. versus Johnson. Yeah, that's a good fight. I don't like the fact that Smith Jr. has been ducking Artur Beterbiev, but it's a good fight. It's a good fight. Two punchers. I think Smith Jr. is a lot more tough, though, a lot more durable, and I think he'll knock out Callum Johnson. I was told Whyte owes Hearn due to the B-sample business. That's why Hearn is involved. They can really think they beat Bob Arum in arbitration. Do they really think they can beat Bob in an arbitration case? Unbelievable. Mind you, Wilder did. Big up to LR1202. What's up with it, man? Big up to yourself. Big up to Corey Lee Boxing. Salute to Corey. Ice season. Whyte and Theory are two frauds. I don't disagree with that, to be honest, Duck. I don't disagree. But in this case, I don't really blame Tyson Fury, to be honest. I can't believe I'm saying that. Yeah, disgusting, isn't it, Intangible? It's disgusting. Yeah, Rudenko. Yeah, that was a weird fight, bro. I saw the stoppage, but I never actually saw the fight, but I saw the stoppage on Twitter. Yeah, Callum Johnson's getting knocked out, 100% confirmed. He'll give it a go, and he'll have some success early on, but it's going to be one of those ones. So brave, so courageous, when he gets knocked out. I don't want to talk about that guy, honestly. I mean, again, that should not be on pay-per-view. I mean, as a comeback fight, it is what it is. Furman's been out, more than 2 years now? I don't really, it is what it is. It's a comeback fight. That should not be on pay-per-view. If Foreman has anything left, Jazz, he should take care of Barrios comfortably and by knockout, and quite swiftly as well. Yes, that's a great fight. First fight was really good. That card in general is really good. I think Niambiar is fighting. Who's Niambiar fighting? He's in a good fight as well. I forget, but it's a good card. Yeah, it is what it is, intangible. I'll be pleased when that whole scenario is cleaned up, honestly. I'll be pleased when it's all done. Exactly, yeah. That's how I feel, Felipe. That's how I feel. Yeah, he looked terrible. He fought Server Umalayev. He arguably lost that fight. I wouldn't be surprised, yeah, if he gets knocked out quite early. Exactly, BG London. Sometimes in life, yeah, if there's like it's like in life, like if you're one of those people who constantly fall out with other people, etc., 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 eventually you've got to look at yourself, right? There's a pattern here emerging, and that's like Dillian White and his battle with boxing politics. You know, he's fucked himself so many times. Maybe Dillian needs to look at himself. Exactly, yeah. Umalayev, yeah. Yard will pick up the crumbs from Smith Johnson fight. They'll be worn torn after that fight. Yeah. Although Bob Arum is saying Canelo might target Joe Smith Jr., so maybe Anthony Yard doesn't get that fight. That's it. Yeah, Vic Pasilias. Yeah. Pasilias, yeah. That's the one. That's a good fight as well. Niambiar, yeah. Great fight. That's a good card. That's a good triple header. Yeah, Johnson gave it a go. So brave. Modern day warrior. Yeah, Russell Magsayo is a good fight. Russell should absolutely school him, probably knock him out in the second half, but Magsayo can punch. So he'll need to be careful. Exactly. And we saw with Julio Ceja, like Ceja was well in charge in that fight in terms of like the scorecards, but that power carried late and we saw what happened. So yeah, Magsayo, not the most skilled, but he's dangerous. So I like that fight. It's fucking frustrating because I like watching Gary fight. I really do. But you just can't get invested in his career, obviously, because he doesn't fucking fight. But I do like Gary. Not convinced, to be honest. He looks flashy, he looks powerful, he looks quick, but he's not beat anybody, to be honest. He's not beat anybody. There's a few guys I would name above him. Yeah, tell me about it, Felipe. I'm sick of that fucking word. I think arbitration is the fighter of the year for 2021. Yeah, that's a great fight. I think that'll be a good fight, Jazz. I know he got fucked up by Aleem, but I think that'll be a good fight. Are you serious, Brandon? Are you actually going to be doing that interview? Let me know, bro. Let me know. I could try and send some people your way if it's online. Not mad with Brandon Lee as prospect of the year. He's done well for himself. Heraldez, Fernandez, and Tea's a good run. But Silyagin, Batsagaziev should have been considered, though. Yeah, I agree. And yeah, Batsagaziev the other night against Franklin Manzilian looked really good. Fourth round stoppage, if memory serves me correct. Same guy who went the distance with Ray Vargas. That's a good win for your fifth fight. Good win. Yeah, exactly. Boring, yeah. It's a boring situation. Yeah, he definitely earned more than 300k, no doubt about it. But yeah, that's his disclosed purse. So yeah, exactly. If Canelo fights Joe instead of Beterbiev, how will his fanboys spin it? Honestly, bro, that's another case. I'm past caring, to be honest. Past caring. They'll find some sort of way. I think Joe Smith Jr., he would fight Joe Smith in a heartbeat. Yeah, and Ray Vargas doesn't deserve it. He's had one comeback fight in like 2 years, whatever. Honestly, he doesn't deserve that fight. Yeah, Ryder Jacobs, that's a good fight. A really good fight. I think it makes a lot of sense for both guys right now. Both guys are, you know, at the tail end. So get them to fight each other. See who's got more left. See who can continue at world level. That's a good fight. And a good stylistic matchup as well. Good fight. I would take Jacobs, though. If Jacobs is in and around what he once was, I'll take Jacobs. Probably on points. I hate legal systems. Takes 20 years to execute killers and takes how many months for one guy to make a decision on whether a fight happens or not. Jesus, exactly, bro. What other chances Makabu loses to Machunu? I haven't really seen the latter fight before, but I know he lost their first fight. Yeah, Machunu's actually coming off a good bit of form. He recently beat what's that lanky cunt's name? The lanky fucking Russian southpaw. I forget his name. But yeah, he's coming off a good win, upset win. He's a really tricky boxer. He's a smaller cruiserweight, very hard target, gets nice and low. A good boxer. And in the first fight, Makabu was having a lot of trouble. So there's every chance Machunu could win that rematch. Every chance. But it's a good fight. Yeah, maybe. He's not looked good for quite some time. But yeah, harsh comment, as James said. Yeah, let me know, Brandon. Let me know. I think Hellenius is definitely possible. Honestly, I think Hellenius is very likely, actually. Or Caballero, yeah, somebody like that. He's not going to fight Andy Ruiz. Tischenko, that's the one. Yeah. Hearing rumours of Beterbiev versus Bivol in Russia for May. Hopefully it happens. That'll be great, bro. That's on my wish list for next year. That'll be in my top 5 fights that I want to see. That has to happen. Be a great fight. Stylistically very interesting as well. Awesome fight. Wouldn't be surprised if Ryder wins. Jacobs has been looking off lately, and the fight is in the UK. Okay, is it? I never knew it was in the UK. I thought that was going to be in the US. See, that could change things. Interesting. That's a good fight, though. I like that fight a lot. Ray Vargas, Eduardo Ramirez, both on close to the same timeline, and is a good proving ground for Vargas at this point. That's a good fight, yeah. And Eduardo is coming off a good win as well, so makes sense. Makes sense. I think Spider Richards is rated about right, to be honest. He's a good domestic fighter, maybe European level. He's a solid pro, tough guy as well. But he's okay. He's decent enough. Are you looking forward to any DAZN Austria shows next year? Nah. I want to see Apollo James Jackson versus Bentlegs or Tyan Booth. Apollo James Jackson, that's a blast from the past. Jesus. Yard versus Joe Smith. Yeah, that's a good fight. I'd like to see that. Would be explosive. It'd be explosive. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if it's in the UK, Danny Jacobs needs to fucking drop Ryder 17 times to get a decision. So, yeah, you're right. He can't afford to be having that mindset coming here because he will get robbed. Having said that, though, like it's not like John Ryder's one of Eddie's favourites. So maybe Danny Jacobs still has more upside. I don't know. It depends what weight. At 68, Canelo. At 75, I think Bivol has got a great chance. Yeah, I agree. Intangible. Like Ray Vargas is one of those guys. I would care less if he disappeared off the face of the earth. I couldn't care less if he fights again. Just a horrible style. Not interested. He's decent. Don't get me wrong, but I just can't stand watching that guy fight. That's a great fight. Not going to happen, though. I'd love to see it. Virgil Ortiz is fighting Michael McKinson next, which is disappointing. I'd go Buatsi late stoppage, James. But that would be a good fight. That would be a good fight. See, if I was managing Buatsi, I would do that now. After Bolotniks, I would have put him in there with Richards, and then maybe Maxim Vlasov. That's what I would do. Okay, that was at 1:30. I never knew that. And that was a WBC Eliminator. Jesus. Yeah, Mariaga's been hanging around for a long time. A good fighter, but shop-worn. Ray Vargas in with Brandon Figueroa. That's a good fight. I think Brandon beats him now, to be honest. I was actually quite impressed with Brandon against Fulton. I know a lot of people saw that fight differently to me, but I had Brandon winning. Oh my God, Brandon, you got a fucking Liverpool jersey. Damn, Brandon. I might have to ban you. Well, my brother got a Bayern Munich shirt, and I gave my dad a Madrid jersey, and he was taking the piss out of us. Too right, man. Too right. I don't blame your dad. Ty and Booth would ice Jake Paul. Maybe not now, man. Maybe Tyan's been drinking too much. I don't know. That's disgusting, bro, isn't it? Josh Warrington getting a title shot. Yeah, disgraceful. That made me fucking mad when I saw that. Josh Warrington's going to be fighting not Kid Galahad, Kiko Martinez for the IBF title after a loss and a no contest. It's a joke, man. After he vacated that same title, not to fight Galahad again. What an absolute shit show. That's a joke. That's an absolute joke. I hope I hope Kiko sends him to the Shadow Realm. Not going to happen, though. Exactly, bro. That's what we need. Beterbiev versus Bivol, and then the winner fights Smith, yeah. Jamel Charlo knockout. Probably a late knockout. I want to see Conor Benn versus Marku Furman or even Josecito Lopez. Yeah. Speaking of Lopez, he's in a really good fight on the Barrios undercard. He's fighting Abel Ramos. That's a really good fight. That could be a fight of the year contender right there. Yeah, Jacobs has been looking lackluster due to his replacement coach of Andre Rozier, I'd say. His new coach has had Jacobs focus on jabbing and moving rather than fully utilising his physical strength. Yeah, plus he's moved up in weight as well, which hasn't really helped him, in my opinion. Like, even against Chavez Jr., I felt Danny Jacobs looked pretty poor. Like, he was having trouble with Chavez Jr. early on in that fight. Then, obviously, the Gabe Rosado fight, he really struggled there as well. He doesn't have that size anymore at super middleweight, sorry. Yeah, it's a joke, James. It's an absolute scam. Yes, he's got the promotional backing. That's what it is. When Lara comes back, when he heals from that cut, I hope he gets an opportunity. But I doubt it. We'll see. Inoue versus Navarrete is a dream matchup. Yeah, that's a war. Inoue might be a bit too small, but it's a war. I know it's not going to happen, but I'd love to see Navarrete versus Mauricio Lara, but they're stablemates, I believe. They're in the same gym. Yeah, exactly. He did. Yeah, he said Danny Jacobs was easy to promote when he first signed him. Well, he's done a poor job, in my opinion. I agree. Well, I mean, he did get him the Canelo fight, and he got him another world title. He got him good fights, but he didn't really make him a bigger star. I mean, he's done okay with Danny Jacobs. He does, yeah. He does. Do you mean Jose Benavidez versus Stanionis? I take it, but I think, well, Stanionis knocks him out, in my opinion. Yeah, Ray Vargas and Leo Panty Cruz are cut from the same cloth. Boring, volume, pillow punchers winning UDs against cherry-picked opposition. Yeah, I agree. I used to like Leo Santa Cruz a little bit back in the day when he was fighting the likes of Frampton, Abner Mares. I thought he was a good watch back then, but ever since that second Frampton fight, his career's not really gone anywhere, to be honest. And he's been ultra disappointing. Yeah, Figueroa's got a great tank. Very good body puncher. Physically imposing. I felt he nicked that fight with Stephen Fulton, to be honest. But there we go. That's just my opinion. Yeah, I mean, Jamie McDonnell looked like a fucking skeleton on the scales against the Niue. He looked so bad. He looked like an extra out of Train Spotting. He looked terrible. But yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that. 118 to 143. That's a lot of weight. 25 pounds. Yeah, I mean, it's not as easy as Eddie first imagined. It's not as easy. I think he's done a decent job with Devin Haney in regards to getting his name out there. Not necessarily getting the fights, but I don't think he's done a bad job with Haney. I'll be honest, I could see Martinez knocking Warrington out. You never know, man. You never know. Maybe that chin's been cracked now. You never know. And it's not easy for Josh to make that weight. So, I keep on saying Galahad. Martinez can definitely hurt Warrington. I mean, he did in that first fight. He buzzed Warrington a couple of times. So, you never know. You never know, but I just can't see it. Yeah, Lopez. Yeah, Lopez is the Mando. I'll tell you what, though, Lopez versus Warrington could be a good fight. Exactly. It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy, Sultan. It's crazy. Jamel Charlo might knock that lanky bum Fundora out in the first round. I think he'll knock him out, bro, definitely. I think it might take him a few rounds, but I think he'll knock him out. Jamel Charlo's a much better fighter than Fundora. I know people are not exactly high on Jamel right now, but Jamel is a good fighter, regardless of the Castano fight. Jamel's a good fighter. Warrington may be punch drunk after the Lara fight. Neri versus Castro and Ramos versus Lopez are good fights also. Yeah, they are. Especially Neri Castro. That's a great fight as well. And how Neri's been looking recently, I think he might lose that fight, to be honest. He's never really looked the same since his drug ban, in my opinion. Charlo Castano 2, who wins? Honestly, I can't envisage Jamel Charlo winning that fight on points unless he scores a couple of knockdowns. I think he needs to knock out Castano to win. And I think a knockout is possible. I mean, he did hurt Castano first time around. So Charlo's got a puncher's chance. I wouldn't rule him out. But I think I'll go Castano in a close points win. But I'm not really convinced yet. Fundora knocks out Shiraz. And yeah, Intangible said the same. Yeah, Charlo hurt Castano more than I thought he would. He can win the rematch if he's more active, but I don't know. Jamel underperforms a bit too much for me to rate him, but he can prove me wrong in the rematch. Yeah, that's how I'm kind of feeling as well. I'm leaning towards Castano, but wouldn't shock me if Charlo pulls it out of the bag. Wouldn't shock me at all. Apparently, Galahad's going up to 130. James, that's what I've heard. That's a good fight. Stevenson versus Agawa. That's a good fight. But apparently, Agawa's going to fight Zelfa Barrett, I think. Big up to True Crime with G-Man. Go for it, bro. Go for it, man. It's worth a go. It's worth a go, man. And I'll always shout you out, bro, as well. So big up to yourself, G-man. Yeah, I'd take Luis Alberto Lopez to beat Warrington in the classic Mexican versus British style. Yeah. I mean, you can't back a Brit now against a Mexican. Honestly, you can't really back a Brit against a Mexican. Great fight, Anthony. Not going to happen, though, but I'd love to see it. I would take Regis on points in a really competitive fight. Weird one, James. I don't really see Liam Williams being an Adam Booth type fighter. Interesting. I'm not convinced how that's going to work, to be honest. Oh yeah, BoxRec's always been full of shit, bro. There was a time, this was years ago, after Antonio Tarver beat Jonathan Banks, I think it was. That was at heavyweight, and Antonio Tarver was rated at like number 7 in the world at heavyweight. This was like 5 or 6 years ago, whenever it was. Yeah, it's in Texas. Yeah, that's true as well. It's true, man. Neri to me just looks brittle, if that makes sense. He just looks, I don't know. I'm not convinced by Neri anymore. I used to rate Neri quite highly on the come up before he fought Yamanaka and everything that happened there. Speaking of 2022, guys to watch out for next year, who are you guys looking forward to seeing? Ricardo Sandova is one of my guys at flyweight. Charlie Edwards Mando for the IBF title. I think that kid is going to be very good. He's 22 years old, extremely poised fighter, excellent body puncher, maintains great balance, lovely punch technique, good punch variety. He's aggressive, but he's quite methodical with it. I like the look of Ricardo Sandoval at flyweight. Looks very good. Albert Batsagaziev as well, obviously gold medalist in the Olympics, beat Duke Reagan. He's one to watch out for. There's a few guys next year I'm looking to achieve. William Zepeda is another one at lightweight who I like the look of. Golden Boy fighter, Mexican. Looks very good. Very good fighter, in my opinion. There's a few guys, man, in 2022 I'm looking out for. When was the last time a Brit beat a Mexican? I think Maxie Hughes beat a Mexican quite recently. The same Mexican who knocked out James Tennyson. I forget his name. Giovanni Straffon, I think his name was. Josh Taylor should be Fighter of the Year solely for being the only Brit that was able to beat a Mexican in a high-profile fight. Yeah, Josh Taylor as well. Big up to Josh Taylor. Yeah, good fight. I like that fight, James. I've not really got a problem with it. A lot of people are moaning that Spence isn't fighting Crawford next. But again, I want to see what Spence has before he takes on that Crawford fight. And I think the Ugas fight is going to tell us all we need to know about Errol Spence Jr., what he's got left. I'd rather see what Spence has left first before he fights Crawford, if that makes sense. And it's not a bad fight in itself. It's not a bad fight at all. Yeah, we was talking about this earlier, G-Man. I don't really like it, considering how it's played out. I mean, Galahad was Warrington's Mando for the IBF title. Then Warrington vacates. Warrington proceeds to get knocked out by Lara and cheats his way in the rematch to a technical decision, or technical draw, whatever it was, no contest. Then Galahad fights for the vacant title against Jazza, beats him, gets knocked out by Kiko. And now we're back in square one where Warrington is fighting for the title he vacated because he wasn't willing to defend it. I think the whole situation's a joke, and Warrington should not be able to fight for that title so soon after vacating, in my opinion. It's a joke. I think if you vacate a title, really, you shouldn't be able to fight for it for a couple of years. But that same title. Never seen him. I've never seen him fight. Big up to Larry Jabelinski. Big up to Larry. Nice to see you here. Fernando Martinez, he's fighting Ancajas next. After Martinez wins, we'll get the Martinez-Tanaka super fight. Fernando Martinez, I don't think I've seen too much of him. Intangible. I'll have to check him out. Yeah, Sil Yagin's another one. He looks good. Very awkward, unorthodox style. Weird body mechanics. He moves weirdly. He fights weirdly, but it's very effective. He's one to watch out for. David Morrell is another guy I like at 168. Yeah, he beat Ramirez, yeah. He could do, yeah, because the arbitration starts in March. Correct me if I'm wrong. And who knows how long that's going to take. Fury's going to have a fight in and around that time, allegedly. Whether that happens or not, we shall see. But, you know, there'd be nothing stopping Fury to then negotiate for an undisputed fight. So who knows? Zepeda. I'm very impressed with Zepeda, to be honest. You mean Virgil Ortiz against Abdu Kakarov? I think Abdu Kakarov needs to rebuild, to be honest. I wouldn't put Abdu Kakarov in that sort of fight right now. Yeah, Christian Hammer's fighting Frank Sanchez. Yeah, Carlos Negron pulled out due to COVID, and Hammer is the replacement. Arguably better than Negron. But, you know, Hammer's a bit of a spoiler, so that's going to be ugly while it lasts. But I do rate Frank Sanchez. I think he's a good fighter. His style's not for everybody, but I think he's a good boxer. He's effective at what he does. Yeah, it looks that way, Larry. It looks that way, man. Which is unfortunate, in my opinion. Lovely body puncher, Nathan. Excellent body puncher. When he beat Hector Tanahara, I took notice. Because Tanahara was the guy being propped up. He was the guy kind of who was being, you know, he was basically the favorite with the promotion in that fight. Exactly, yeah, XMB. And that's exactly why that fight will tell us a lot more about Spence and where he's at. So I like that fight. A lot of people are complaining, but Ugas is no slouch. He's not a bum. He's not a scrub. He arguably beat Sean Porter, for example. You know, beat Manny Pacquiao. I know Pacquiao's 42, but he beat Manny Pacquiao. Yeah, exactly, G-Man. Josh Taylor and Maxie Hughes are the only recent Brits to beat a Mexican. Lewis Ritson beat a fringe level one on the Pro Bellum card a few weeks back. Yeah. I would need to see Puello fight. Anthony, I would need to see him fight. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Reckon we'd see Broner Furman next year instead of Connor. I've got no interest in Broner whatsoever, man. No interest whatsoever. Let's get this spammer out of here. Let's get rid of this guy. I think it makes sense. Karma. He looked like death on the scales against Martinez. He looked terrible. He's definitely tight at that weight. You might be right, Duck. You might be right, but I'm glad he's fighting Ugas regardless. I'm glad. And to be honest, I want to see Cody Crowley fight Jaron Ennis. I think that makes sense. Yeah, Barboza versus Zepeda would be a great fight, Nathan. I quite like Barboza. He's pretty good fun to watch. Puts his shots together well. He can box as well. He can move. He can do a bit of everything. Barboza. Liam Parrow's not very good, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Keyshawn Davis. I mean, imagine throwing money at the likes of Keyshawn Davis, Matchroom throwing money at the likes of Alan Babbage and Ebony Bridges, and then letting go Keyshawn Davis, who they arguably had wrapped up. It's embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. But there you go. There you go. I'm not convinced many boxing people work for Matchroom, honestly. They're great. They are a great promotional outfit, but I'm not convinced by how. I'm not convinced that they have many top quality boxing people at Matchroom, because that's ridiculous. He's another one I'm losing interest in, Larry. Joshua Buatsi, I like his style. I like him as a person. I think he's easy to root for. He's a class act, but he's not giving me anything. So, and I liked the last fight. I felt Bolotniks was perfectly reasonable for that stage of his career. I'm not asking for the world. I'm just asking for him to be a bit more active and fight slight step-ups, New year coming up, Mr. Ashman. Start a clean, a fresh slate. Just got to knuckle down, man, and grin and bear it. Perseverance pays off, man, in the end. I'm telling you, persevering pays off in the end. Just get through the rough, and you'll get the smooth kind of thing. Yeah, Casemiro versus Inoue. Yeah, that's a fight I want to see as well. Great fight. I'll tell you what, I really want to see a Cole versus Briadis as well. That's another one. Yeah, he knocked out Grachev in the fourth or fifth round, and Grachev rarely gets stopped. He's got a granite chin, so that's a good statement. I know who you're talking about. I saw him fight, but I'm not even going to try to remember his name. I think you've got to go with Canelo, but there are other nominations, obviously. Dillian White, Tyson Fury, etc., etc. That's a good fight. That's a good fight, Anthony. Estrada versus Franco. Estrada wins that, but I think it'll be fun. Yeah, Eddie says that the WBC have to consider the time White's been waiting for a title shot, but why is that decided in split? Shouldn't that be coming from WBC alone, not from Fury's purse? I'm not sure what you mean, Sultan, but White is waiting because they're contesting the purse split, what it should be. That's what I understand anyway. So again, how can you negotiate when you don't know the purse split? Because it gives you a baseline of what each guy is worth, if that makes sense. If there's no purse split percentage, it's a lot harder to negotiate, especially if you're Tyson Fury, who is the A side, who does generate more money. So the whole situation's a mess, honestly. Ioka tomorrow, yep. I'm not going to watch it intangible. I'll watch it the next day. I'll catch up. I'm gonna be busy tomorrow. I'm working, and then I'm going out. He's another one, Nathan. I could care less if he comes back. No interest in Robert Easter Jr., to be honest. I'm a raging hypocrite. I like Lerone Richards, but I hate Frank Sanchez. I like Frank Sanchez. I don't know why, but I like him. I like Frank Sanchez. He looks like an old head. He's got nice movement. He can box. I like Frank Sanchez. Lerone Richards, I can take or leave, but I like him as a person. So, yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke, Ikama. Yeah, Lerone's got skills, no doubt. He just doesn't have fucking power. That arsehole Frank Sanchez made me fall asleep and miss Wilder Fury 3 live. I didn't mind that performance against the Jagba. I thought it was okay. It was watchable, at least. It was watchable, in my opinion. But yeah, that's true XMB45. I just want to see Broner get beat up again and preferably knocked out. So I wouldn't mind him fighting Foreman or Ben. American boxing's missing a character like AB. AB. About billions. Always bowling. That is true, though. I think that's just the state of boxing in general in 2021. There's not many characters anymore. No authentic characters, at least. Not many. It's very cookie cutter right now, how the fighters conduct themselves. Very cookie cutter. Great fight. This is a great fight. Great boxing match. Both guys are good from range. Barboza's more active, got more output, but I'd say Victor Poster was more technically astute. I might say Barboza in a close points win, but it's a good fight. It's a good fight. Exactly, yeah. Matchroom let go of Keyshawn Davis and Danny Roman, but are hell-bent on Shannon Courtney. Yeah, exactly. Like, to me, Danny Roman at super bantamweight, if that guy had genuine power, I think he would be the best fighter in that division. If he had like world-level power in combined with his skills and style, I think Danny Roman would be the best at that weight class. I really believe that. I think he's a great fighter. And again, we seem to be talking about bullshit rematches time and time again now in boxing. A rematch that should happen, or has the legs to happen, is Akhmadaliev-Roman. That was a very close fight. I felt Akhmadaliev nicked it by a round, but if you had it by a draw or one round to Roman, I wouldn't call you crazy. It wasn't conclusive regardless, so that'd be a great fight. Yeah, that was the story, yeah. Keyshawn wouldn't sign with Matchroom because they didn't want to sign his brother, yeah. That's what I heard as well. And to be honest, his brother isn't that good, but you got to do what you got to do, you know? Yeah, Frank Smith has no boxing brain, I agree. Yeah, I've long suspected that, Sultan. I don't think Eddie Hearn introduced himself well to the American market, and what I mean by that is people working in American boxing. He went over there with his $1 billion deal, extremely arrogant, extremely abrasive, insulting other promoters. You know, people say, you know, the money comes first, etc. But ego's a very powerful thing, man. If you're out there insulting people and saying how wrong they've been doing it, etc., 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 they're going to take that a certain way. And Eddie to me burnt a lot of bridges very early on in his American venture. He burnt a lot of bridges. So I think that's a result of why he's found it so hard to make these fights, you know? But that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. Kash Farouk, he's another guy I like, but he doesn't get any shine. Really talented fighter, in my opinion. Doesn't get any promotion. Nothing at all. But I like him, Hader. He's got a great style to watch. He reminds me, actually, of Prograis, in a sense. Not as powerful, but some of the things he does in the ring, he reminds me of Prograis. I love how he fights on the inside, how he positions his head on the inside, how he can counter up close. He's a very good fighter, Kash Farouk. Just doesn't have the power. Again, he's another one. If he had world level power, Kash Farouk would be dangerous. He'd be extremely dangerous. Yeah, it looks a little bit too. Yeah, there's a bit too much of that kind of gimmicky type of vibe when it comes to Matchroom. Yeah, I agree. It seems that way, intangible. It seems that way. But yeah, Briedis needs to fight Akole. If he's not going to go to heavyweight, fight Akole. I'd love to see that fight. I would love it. He's another guy, Lawrence Akole. He's a guy originally I couldn't stand, but he won me over, Lawrence Akole. I actually quite like him outside the ring. He's a bit corny, but I quite like that. I find it kind of endearing, like his shit raps, etc. I quite like him, Lawrence Okole, and he's got genuine power. And he will be hard to beat, Lawrence Okole, regardless of what you think of his style. He's going to be hard to beat at cruiserweight. But I like Okole. Yeah, Casemiro and New Gabe would be a war, absolutely. Absolutely. Be a great fight, though. Be a great fight. Big up to Bruce Goes every single time. And check out Bruce Goes. He's got a channel himself, as does Intangible, by the way. He's got a channel as well. Check out Intangible Boxing News and also Bruce Goes. Very knowledgeable gentleman. Yeah, they're going after the Mando next. It looks like. I'll be honest, Larry, I kind of want to see Jerome Miller back in action. He served his ban. Fuck it, why not? Let's have him back. Boxing doesn't take drug testing seriously, so why should I? Let's have him back. Yeah, I've heard conflating things in regards to Vidal Riley. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, people forget that as well, Duck. Sucks being in Wales, man. All of the clubs are now closed. To be honest, bro, I've barely gone to bars or restaurants or clubs since this whole bullshit's kicked off. Just can't be asked. Cannot be asked. We're having a house party tomorrow. That's it. Something simple, something nice, easy. Yeah, I like big Frank Sanchez as well. I made a video about him a couple of years ago. I always thought he was a good prospect, and I was convinced he would beat F.A. Ajagba. Yeah, Kalasawala needs to give over the Wasserman reigns to me. The idiot robbed by the the idiot robbed Germany's best fighter, Abbas Barao. Yeah, I was mad with that fight. Intangible. He clearly beat Jack Kolkai. Great fight. I think that fight goes one of two ways. Either MJ knocks out Stephen Fulton or Fulton wins on points. I see that as basically a 50-50. And I'm not down on Stephen Fulton, by the way. I rate Stephen Fulton very highly. I like how he's been moved in his career. He fought a lot of unbeaten prospects on the way up. And yeah, he seems to be willing to fight anybody. So I like Stephen Fulton. I think he's a very good fighter. I just felt he lost his last fight, to be honest. Just my opinion. But yeah, that'd be a great fight in itself. Yeah, exactly. Karma. Usyk just got on with it. Signed a rematch clause. It had to be done to get that fight, to get those belts. So it is what it is. Yeah, Rolly Romero's hilarious. I'm not sure what's happening with that dude right now, honestly, but we'll see. Usyk. Iceman. Usyk. Alexander Usyk, number one in my opinion. In terms of like skill for skill, I've got Usyk. But I can see if you said Tyson Fury, I wouldn't argue. Yeah. I've heard, weirdly, I've heard a lot of good things about Joe Joyce outside the ring. I think he'll be a good laugh behind the camera. Yeah, good fight. Good fight. Competitive fight. I'd actually still lean towards Conlon, to be honest, Jazz. It's a good fight, though. Nothing wrong with it. Yeah, shit, man. Rolly might give Tank a very difficult fight. He's strong and does have power. If he's got a good chin, he will give him problems. You might be right, Duck. And he's fucking awkward as well. He's got a weird style. So you never know. I'll be honest, though, Anthony. I think Golden Boy... Golden Boy don't put on the same amount of cards as Matchroom, but I always like Golden Boy cards. I think they're matched quite well, usually. I quite like Golden Boy cards, to be honest. I kind of want Golden Boy to get more into the scene and grow, get more fighters. Yeah. Well, apparently White would fight Wilder, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I would make Joe Joyce a favourite against White, and I would make Wilder a favourite against White. True Crime with G-Man, he says, I think you're right. Hearn introduced himself to the Americans acting like he'd made it before he ever had a show. Not to mention that most of Golden Boy and Top Rank fighters beat his. Yeah. I think he handled it terribly. Yeah, I agree. I've answered that already. King Carr, big up to King Carr. I'm from America. I fuck with your channel because you're unbiased, and that's what real men enjoy, not that troll comment section bullshit. I try, man. Listen, I have my favourite fighters, no doubt about it, but I'll try and be as fair as possible. I don't always get it right, but I'll try. I'll try. That's all you can really do at the end of the day, you know? That's all you can really do. Yeah, either fight a Coley or move up to Bridgerweight and fuck up Babic's world title dreams. Exactly, yeah. But I really want to see a Coley Briedis. Yeah, he is pretty horrible, I'll be honest. He is pretty horrible. Not long. He reckons he's got like 3 or 4 more fights left, like maybe 18 months, something like that. He says he wants to become undisputed, so that's what he's trying to do apparently. So who knows? I'd say 2 or 3 fights maybe, though. 2 or 3 fights. Something like that. Yeah, that would be a great fight, but those guys are in the same gym, so it might not happen, but it would be a great fight. It would be a great fight. Kayla Plant beats Berlanga. I've never been as high on Plant as some people are, but Plant is much better than Edgar Berlanga. I'll tell you what, just feed Edgar Berlanga to David Morrell. That's what I would have done if I could make it. Yeah, exactly, Larry. Yeah, I agree. Berlanga's not been looking good recently. Berlanga's not been looking good recently. I mean, he arguably lost to the Argentinian gentleman he fought. Gutierrez. Yeah, Rolly is just pure entertainment, though, regardless. Oh, is this true? Kayla Plant versus Rocky Fielding, IBF Eliminator. Is that true? Let me go on Twitter to have a look at this shit. That's a shit fight if true. Kayla Plant washes him. Kayla Plant washes him. I can't see anything on Twitter. But yeah, if that does happen, Plant by stoppage. He will stop Fielding, in my opinion. Yeah, Fury has the size and he can use it, but I'm just saying in terms of like skill for skill, I think Usyk is better. Is he so much better to where he can overcome that size? I'm not sure, but we shall see. It's not going to be an easy fight for Fury. Yeah, I'd love to see that fight as well. Fury Joyce, Fury. I don't mind Fury Ruiz, to be honest. It's not terrible. Yeah, right now, Duck, I'm going to go back and say Bivol beats Ramirez. But yeah, I try and judge it fight by fight, innit? I mean, boxing's a what have you done for me lately sport. That's how I try and view it anyway. But I was impressed with Bivol in his last fight. I felt he looked very good against Salamov, boxed really well. So yeah, I mean, based on their last two, I would go with B-Roll right now on points. I still think it'll be a hard fight for B-Roll, but I'd take B-Roll on points. Yeah, Garcia's eating Davis leftovers first. Fonseca, now Cruz. Maybe he wants to make a statement. Yeah, that's what he says. I actually don't mind that fight though. Isaac Cruz versus Ryan Garcia. If Isaac can get underneath Ryan's punches, close the distance, and work, I think he could give Ryan some real trouble. I think it's a decent fight. I don't really have a problem with it, to be honest. I don't have an issue with it. It's a good fight in my opinion. I'll take that. But that's what he said himself, though. He said, "Oh, I want to fight Isaac Cruz to outdo Tank." Well, outdo Tank by fighting him and beating him. That's my only issue. Just ridiculous. Yeah, Matchroom are 100% business more than boxing. Would Golden Boy have rematch clauses in most contracts for non-title fights or 10 rounders? Yeah, exactly. And I'm not totally against rematch clauses. I want to make that clear. But what I don't like, I just don't like rematch clauses, in particular being implemented in mandatory fights. That's what I don't like. I've got a big problem with that. But there you go. That is what it is. Don't be surprised if Okolie goes to Bridgerweight, crazy D3. Yeah, exactly, bro. I mean, like I say, even Zapeda, who fought another unbeaten prospect in Tanahara. Yeah, Golden Boy do have pretty good matchmaking for the most part. They do. I'm telling you, Bump of K, British boxing in the next couple of years is going to be very interesting. As I've previously said, Matchroom have always had like the pick of the Olympians turning pro, like the British Olympians. Doesn't seem to be the case this time around. Fraser Clark's gone to Boxer and Sky. The McCormack brothers have gone to Probellum. They don't have that same monopoly like they used to. So it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out in the next few months, the next couple of years. And in regards to Probellum, they obviously need a TV deal. I think Sky maybe would be wise to take a look at Probellum. If they could get Probellum as well, they'd have a fighting chance, in my opinion. Oh God, I've seen Evgeny Shevchenko before. I don't rate him at all. And how Caleb Truax is getting another eliminator is beyond me. That's a shit fight, in my opinion. Shit fight, in my opinion. Not interested. Caleb Truax, man, that guy has to have dirt on somebody. I don't want to come off as a matchroom basher, but they are good at what they do in relation to like promoting fighters and getting their names out there. They are pretty good at that, particularly in the UK. But again, I do question like the boxing people behind Matchroom. I do. In relation to things like matchmaking, etc. Donaire Casemiro, I would like Casemiro to win, but I've got Donaire. But it would be a good fight. It would be a good fight, yeah. Plant wants to fight Jamal, 50-50 fight. At 68, yeah, I'd probably say so. I'd actually root for Jamal in that fight, believe it or not. I prefer Jamal's style. But I'd say it's 50-50 more or less. I don't particularly like Kayla Plant. I don't particularly like Jamal Charlo, but I prefer watching Charlo. Exactly, yeah. That's it, Duck. That's it. Eddie does have the Scouse Lomachenko, Peter McGrail. He does, yeah. I've not seen any of Peter's first two fights yet, to be honest, so I'm not sure how he's been looking. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I recall that G-Man. I don't blame him. But I don't think it's even that. I'm not saying Dillian White is in the wrong for trying to get the best deal possible, but all I'm saying is if he does that, he needs to be aware of the delay it could cause, especially now with the arbitration. You can't have your cake and eat it, kind of thing. That's all my point is. I don't blame Dillian for trying to get the best deal possible at all. We should all do that in life, regardless, right? But you've got to evaluate. You have to evaluate what that means going forwards. And Dillian probably, I don't know, man. I'm sick of Dillian White talking about him. Yeah, if boxing people were involved with Matchroom in the DAZN team, it would be 10 times better than it is. Yeah, I mean, and again, I'm not saying everything Matchroom has put on has been terrible, because they've put on some really good cards on DAZN, over the last couple of years, but we need more, considering the hype, the $1 billion man. People keep on parroting they've got the biggest budget in boxing by far, which is cool, and that may be true. But if that is the case, then surely we expect the quality of DAZN to be better than the rival promoters, and arguably it's not. So on one hand, these guys are bigging up DAZN for being the richest and having the most money, but they want you to hold them to the same standards as like the PBC or Top Rank or Warren, etc. Yeah. To be honest, though, in retrospect, I'm sure Hearn is glad he never signed Broner. Stevenson on points, Anthony. Stevenson on points. In my opinion. Some call Lomachenko the Ukrainian McGrail. My mate on Discord DM'd Loma some McGrail highlights on Instagram for pointers before his Vekome fight. Must have been why he looked so good. Fuck you know. Yeah, Mikhail Lawal is a decent fighter at cruiserweight. He can punch pretty hard. He's a domestic guy. I would pick Chris Billum-Smith to beat him, but that'll be a fun fight stylistically. Yeah, that's a good fight. They do, yeah. The IBF are good, but they tend to rank former champions favorably and give them instant eliminators. Yeah, like Truax fought Plant for the IBF, fought DeGale for the IBF, or 2 fights with DeGale for the IBF. Now he's got another eliminator. It's crazy. It's crazy. I agree, Duck. I agree. Yeah, Stevenson, why do you D? Why do you D? I just think stylistically that fight favours Stevenson. Good fight. Good fight, though. Agawa can, he brings the pressure. He can punch a bit. I'd watch it. I'd watch it. Gerson Medina, big up to Gerson Medina. Hope you're well, bro. Hopefully you're keeping well. Yeah, GB Guthrie, I'm actually losing interest in British boxing. There was a time where I would religiously watch domestic cards, but now my interest is drifting to overseas prospects. Yep, I feel the same way. Like, I've missed so many British cards this year. Like, as in like not watching them at the time. I've missed so many this year. I've missed as much live boxing this year as I've ever done any year being a boxing fan. I will watch the shows eventually. I'll watch these fights eventually, but I don't make a point to try and stay in and watch these live anymore. If I can do something better, I will do. Whereas before, I would put off social events to watch boxing. I don't do that anymore. Just not worth my time right now. I would say Hay late stoppage or Hay on point. Sorry, Usyk late stoppage or Usyk on points. I think Hay is dangerous early on, but he tends to gas. So I'd say Usyk late more than likely, maybe on points. Yeah, had been great, bro. Had a great Christmas. Hopefully you did too, bro. And obviously wish you nothing but success in the new year. Yeah, that's going to be a struggle, Hader. That's going to be a struggle. I would root for Lawal over Chris Billum-Smith, honestly. Such an ugly style for a guy of his level. I don't mean negative, just so sloppy and bad stamina. Yeah, I do agree, actually. I do agree. Lawal's more of a straight-up puncher. like a straight puncher. But yeah, Chris Billam-Smith is very, very messy. He's very messy. So I see where you're coming from. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, G-Man. Wouldn't be surprised. Hopefully it still happens when it should happen, though. Colbert versus Gutierrez prediction. Colbert on points. Gutierrez, a good puncher, good boxer puncher. But I think Colbert outmaneuvers him and beats him on points. And no, the winner loses to Shakur. Glad to hear it, Gerson, man. Glad to hear it. God bless. Jesus Christ, your old Dar. Christ almighty. I wouldn't go that far. Your old Dar. I'm pretty confident Taylor versus Catterall won't be the mismatch people are saying. Catterall is actually very skillful and throws a great straight left. I agree, Larry. I said this on Twitter. I think Taylor might have a few problems in that fight. I think Catterall is decent. Very, very tricky fighter. Very, very economical, but like you say, very educated with his straight left hand. He's got good lead hand control as well. Battle of two southpaws on top of that. I think this fight's going to be harder than people make out. I really do. I think it's going to be harder than people make out. Don't get me wrong, I'm picking Taylor, and I think Taylor wins probably by late stoppage, but don't be surprised if Catterall gives him some real problems. I'm good, Jack. I'm good. I'm very good. Can't complain. Another day above ground, you can't complain. Oh, your top 10 fights of 2022? Hard one. I mean, in no particular order. Bivol versus Beterbiev. Akole versus Briadis. Julio Cesar Martinez versus Junto Nakatani. Lomachenko Kambosos. Spence Crawford, I'll put that in there as well. Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis. NJ Akhmadaliev, Stephen Fulton. What else do I really want to see? Golovkin versus any champion at 160. Casemiro Inoue. Ioka Ancajas. Gonzalez Estrada 3. I think that's 10. Maybe a bit more than 10. Oh, bollocks. British Boxing Board of Control making an announcement on 4th or 5th of January about boxing in Jan. Okay, interesting. I think they'll call off all events in January, to be honest. Yeah, I think he's decent as well, your old Dar. Weirdly, how he moves, his body mechanics, how he pulls back from punches, reminds me of Kyle Froch. I'm not saying stylistically he's the same, just how he moves his body reminds me of Kyle Froch. Look at how he pulls back from punches. Like it looks exactly like Kyle Froch. Oh, Russell's at his best is better than Navarrete. He's more talented, in my opinion, but Navarrete has that size and the awkwardness in his approach. Very long arms, unorthodox style, with great volume. Oh, my days. That's a hard one. I'm going to say Russell in a really close points win. Because I rate Russell extremely highly at his best. Thoughts on Troy Williamson? I think he's very dangerous. Yeah, good puncher. Likes to mix it up. I like him. He signed with Probellum as well. Good fighter. Yeah, good fighter. Mad Chad, biggest Ted Cheeseman fan on YouTube. Big up to Mad Chad. Yeah, Lara Warrington 3. Cheeseman versus whoever. I wouldn't mind seeing Cheeseman versus Fowler at 160. Yeah, that's it. Andrade Charlo, biggest fight in boxing. But I do want to see that fight as well. Larry says, I actually want to see Lara Warrington again just to see Sean O'Hagan's reaction to Warrington get done in. Oh, dear. The board will likely call off shows until February. Once Hearn and Probellum get shows started, they won't miss the fees. They did the same last year. That's true, yeah. Believe it or not, I would favour Teofimo Lopez. I would favour Teofimo Lopez again in the rematch. I know what I saw in the first fight. And, you know, Kambosos boxed a great fight. He performed extremely well, no doubt about it. But I do believe Kambosos was compromised. I don't believe that was, sorry, I believe Teofimo was compromised. I don't believe that was the best Teofimo we've seen. And I believe there's something in that medical issue that he apparently had. I do believe that. So make of that what you will. Make of that what you will. Yeah, that's another great fight. Julio Cesar Martinez versus Sonny Edwards. I'd love to see it. Mauricio Lara versus Josh Warrington. Hell in the Cell street fight to the death. Let's get it. Is that official, Haydar? Is that official? But it's a good test for Dalton Smith. I would like to see it. There's that as well, yeah. But I'm just saying, hypothetically, if Teo could make 135 in a healthy fashion, I would pick him to beat Kambosos in a rematch. Facts, I agree, Majad. I agree. Yeah, Frank's going to be out of action for a while. That's it, yeah. He doesn't want the rematch, Duck. He doesn't want the rematch. So it's a pointless conversation, really. He's going to go to 140 and rebuild, you know. Yeah, Andy needs to defect and turn pro, no doubt. No doubt about it. He's too good of a talent to stay in the amateurs forever. "2022, I want to see Conor Benn box somebody that wasn't old enough to see his old man fight." That's true. That is true. Regis, I would take Regis to beat Teofimo Lopez. Teo's not going to go anywhere near pro grade. He's going to go nowhere near pro grade. For his first fight at 140, I would expect him to fight somebody like, I don't know, like maybe Pedraza, because I think Pedraza is going to lose to Ramirez. I wouldn't be surprised if Teofimo fought someone like Pedraza in his first fight. Cruz Kambosos on his debut. Bro, he's that good. He could probably do it. He could probably do it. Joe Hughes would be a very, very big step up for Dalton Smith. I would say K Prosper first, and then maybe Joe Hughes, depending on how he looks. Because Dalton Smith is a good prospect. But putting him in there with Joe Hughes now could be a bit risky. Can't see it. Montana Love is with the Zone. He's with the Zone. Yeah, Lopez versus Kendo Castaneda. Yeah, something like that maybe. Maybe I was being too optimistic with Pedraza. Even if Pedraza loses his next fight. Yeah, I could see something like that. He does, yeah, don't get me wrong. He's a much better fighter than I thought he was, but I just still think in a rematch, if it were to happen, I believe Teo would beat him. Just my opinion. But yeah, I don't believe Teo was at his best that night. I know that people are going to say, oh, that's an excuse. It's just what I saw in the ring. Okay, yeah, I would watch it. I would watch it, Haydar. It'd be a good fight. A very good fight. But I don't think Teo would take it. Big up to Nordic Warrior. What's up to yourself? Hopefully you had a good Christmas, bro. And a Happy New Year, of course. Big up to yourself, man. Yeah, Tio basically had no game plan exactly, yeah. Like that first round, man, like he fought like an absolute retard, to be honest. And he blew his load, man. He blew his load, in my opinion. He took a lot out of himself in that first round. Nordic Warrior's not having it. Tio was always a bum. His fights were just all fixed before leaving Top Rank. It goes to show, though, innit? Like, boxing can get it right when it wants to, because if that was a Top Rank show, they would have robbed Kambosos. But when boxing wants to get it right, it can. DAZN realised that having Kambosos win was more beneficial to them, so they levelled the playing field, in my opinion, kind of thing. But if that was a top-ranked show, I guarantee you Kambosos would have got robbed. Lomachenko's going to get the 3 belts and the division will go back to being stalled. I don't see Loma versus Haney, Ryan or Tank happening. I definitely don't see Loma versus Ryan or Tank. I think Haney's the most possible out of those fights you mentioned. But honestly, I'd rather Lomachenko get the Kambosos fight more so than the other guys. Honestly, because at least he'll go to Australia to do it, kind of thing. I had it 114-112 to Kambosos. $114-112. I had it. Kambosos is the guy who lacks talent but works hard and lives in the gym. Those kind of fighters are always dangerous. To be honest, in retrospect, I did underrate Kambosos' ability. I think he does have ability, but yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, he's a workhorse. He's one of those sort of guys. Always stays in the gym. You never really see that guy out of shape. I can't see it, Haydar. I can't see it. No. It's too early to say, honestly. He's very, very, very young. It's too early to say, but he doesn't strike me as like a blue chip prospect. He's decent, don't get me wrong, but I don't look at him and go, wow, this guy, I need to follow this guy's career kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? I don't see him as one of those sort of guys. That's true, yeah. Devin Haney couldn't knock the skin off a rice pudding. Yeah, I think stylistically Lomachenko's a hard fight for Kambosos. I think Kambosos will obviously give it a go. He'll give Lomachenko a few issues here and there, but I agree. I think Lomachenko comfortably wins that fight. I think he comfortably wins that fight. But I'd like to see it still. Maybe I'm still underrating Kambosos. Exactly, Duck, yeah. He was very emotional. And that stemmed from the corner as well. The worst thing they did was getting rid of Jerry Gamache. Fucking stupid decision. Awful corner work from Tio Senior. Awful. That guy knows nothing about boxing. You could have got anybody from the chat. They would have done a better job. Anybody in the chat, including me, we would have done a better job than Teofimo Senior in that corner. Absolutely awful. Like, I think it was the 3rd round where Tio got his head boxed off. Oh, great round, son. You bossed that round. What the fuck are you on about? I felt people were going over the top on Tio. Because I always said the win against Lomachenko, in my opinion, was a little circumstantial. As I feel Kambosos' win over Tio is. But yeah, I think he's a good fighter. He's got potential, but I think people just went over the top, really. Kind of thing. Like they go over the top on all of these young fighters at lightweight. Exactly, yeah. Tio's father's worse than Tunde. Should have kept Gamache in the corner. Yeah, I agree. And honestly, like Tunde got a lot of stick for the Kovalev fight. Honestly, I don't think that the advice was the worst in the world. Empty the tank, try and knock out Kovalev. I mean, he nearly did. He nearly did, man. I don't think that was the worst advice in the world. Maybe not correct, but it is what it is. He was terrible in the Arthur first fight, but yeah, that as well. Kambosos, he's been learning in the gym. You know, he's been on the grind. He's been the sparring partner for numerous camps for Manny Pacquiao, and he sparred other great fighters as well. And that helps. A lot of fighters use that as a learning curve. There's two sorts of fighters. Some guys are like that. They'll get in all of these big training camps, and they'll develop that sparring partner mentality kind of thing. And other guys really learn from it, really improve from it, and become a great fighter because of it. It all depends on the individual. I don't know. I thought Tio looked a lot flatter against what's his face, Kambosos. Just my opinion. Something looked off to me. Something looked off. Yeah, I take Lomachenko comfortably in the rematch. Yeah, I can't see Josh Kelly doing much for Hader. I really can't. And I can't see Nathan Gorman doing much either. But yeah, hopefully lightweight. Hopefully we get an answer in regards to lightweight in the next couple of months. Hopefully we know what's going to happen in regards to Kambosos. Are the WBO going to order that fight with Lomachenko? Or is Kambosos going to fight Devin Haney? We shall see. But I want an answer ASAP. You know, I'm sick of having to wait for this bullshit. Keep on talking about politics and all that shit. Seeing like debates online who Kambosos has to fight, who he needs to fight, bloody bloody blah. Just get one of these fights done. I don't really give a fuck, honestly. I don't really care. But anyway, guys, I'm going to jump off. The football starts in. Hang on. I think the football starts in a minute. Let me have a look. Oh, we could do 10 more minutes or so. We can do 10 more minutes. I just think, I don't know, I think it was a bad stoppage, Nordic. I think Kome should have got more time, in my opinion, but I think he was genuinely hurt. I do think he was like genuinely hurt, but he should have got more time, in my opinion. Yeah, Dante Dixon looks like good fun. He's a decent prospect. Yeah, I think he was hurt, Nordic. I just don't think he got really. He didn't really get a chance to fight on. I mean, when Tio hurt him, Kome went back to the ropes and Tio was unloading. Like Kome was blocking and avoiding most of those shots, but it got waved off. I think it was a bullshit stoppage. I think it was a bullshit stoppage. I don't see lightweight getting unified, but William Zepeda will blitz all of them, hopefully. Yeah, William Zepeda looks like a very interesting fighter. One of the unsung guys at 135. We keep on hearing about the younger guys like fucking Devin Haney and, you know, these guys, Ryan Garcia, Tank, etc., etc. But William Zepeda looks like a very good fighter coming up. Love his style as well. Pure aggression, great body puncher. He's not like he does have that quote unquote Mexican style, but he's a little more methodical with it, you know. He's a good fighter. Good fighter. Who knows, man? Maybe he's better than Ryan Garcia. Maybe Top Rank are promoting the wrong lightweight. I think I'm going to say Cyril Gane wins that fight. GB Guthrie and Ngannou is having a lot of he's having a lot of back and forth with the UFC in regards to his contract. He seems distracted, and I think Cyril Gane looks like a very good fighter, very athletic, good on his feet, great punch. Well, a good boxer for the UFC. I think Ngannou is going to lose that fight. Yeah, he got. I think he got floored by Easter. I'm sure he got dropped by Easter. Did he get dropped? I'm sure he got dropped. Easter. No, Easter got dropped. Yeah, Easter got dropped. But yeah, you're right. Kome got hurt. Yeah, absolutely. Most overrated fighter in the sport right now. I'm going to say Andrade. Because it's how people describe him that kind of gets to me. Like, people call Andrade a technically proficient outboxer, bloody bloody blah. The guy is messy as fuck. He does a lot wrong in regards to like punch technique, for example. He can't throw wide shots. He slaps. He's more awkward than technically brilliant. He's extremely awkward. He's extremely ungainly. He is hard to read, but he's not this master boxer like people make him out to be, in my opinion. Andrade. I think people have got his style completely wrong. But yeah, I'd say Andrade. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think he's good. Mad Chad. If he can fight, he's going to be a big star. Obviously, American Hispanic. Interesting style. Good, exciting style. If he's any good, he's going to get a big fan base. I'm telling you. Yeah, I'd say so. Larry. On points, I'd say. I'd say on points. Maybe even by late stoppage. Duck is saying Conor Ben. Chet Collins is saying Canelo. To be honest, though, I don't really see many people rate Fundora kind of thing. Yeah, I don't see Andrade as a master boxer at all. He's awkward. He's just super awkward, super ungainly. He's not an easy fight. He's not a bad fighter, but the way people describe Andrade, you'd think you're looking at the next fucking Sugar Ray Leonard, and he's not that sort of boxer. He's not that sort of boxer. I agree. Yes, Stanionis is overrated. I totally agree. I'm convinced Butayev beats him and beats him well. I absolutely agree. He's a jab and a right hand. He's extremely one-dimensional. He's slow. He's got good basic fundamentals, but he's not going to beat anybody of consequence at welterweight. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Butayev is going to whoop him. Yeah, he's a tall spoiler. Yeah, exactly, Nordic. Exactly. Yeah, there's no such thing as a boogeyman in boxing in 2021. There's not really such a thing. Okay. I've still not seen that fight, bro. I've still not seen that fight. See, honestly, Chet, I would see Devin Haney as somebody much more naturally talented than Andrade. Plus, he's a lot younger, so he's got more scope to grow and improve. There are guys out there who overrate Haney massively, no doubt about it, but I'm prepared to give Haney a bit of time, kind of thing. I think he does have some talent, but Andrade, I just don't fucking see it. I don't see it at all. Whereas I do see something with Haney, even though people go way over the top. Yeah, Fundora's a praying mantis in human form. He is a freak, isn't he? Fundora. He's a fucking freak. He was one of the most underrated, but people have jumped off a bandwagon now. Yeah, Andrade does have terrible management though. Eddie Hearn's a death sentence if you're American, just like how he manages B-Roll, yeah. Exactly. Oh, yeah, Hergovich has been ducked relentlessly. That is true. That is true. Intangible, not a fan of a Sauerlands. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, Hergovich he's had a raw deal. I think so, yeah. I think so. Probably take a few rounds, but I think he'll take him out. Maybe 5 or 6 rounds. It's a step in the right direction. I know Wacker's fucking shot to bits, but he's still a tough guy. You know, he's still tough as fuck, so it's all right. It's not too bad for a step up, is it, in my opinion? But after that, though, Makhmudov needs to get a move on after Marius back. He needs to really step up and try and fight a fellow sort of fringe contender with ambition kind of thing. Because Makhmudov is 32 now? 32, 33. He needs to get a move on, Makhmudov. I'd say after Marius Vac, maybe fight, I don't know, maybe even try and fight a Stephen Shaw or a George Arias. You know, somebody with an unbeaten record, somebody who's got a bit of ambition, somebody like that, I wouldn't mind. But whoever, it's going to be hard to get Makhmudov opponents because he doesn't sell. Nobody knows who he is. So it's going to be hard to get him in those sort of fights. What style do you prefer out of Mexican, American, or Eastern European? Honestly, I think Mexican is like one size fits all. Like, I think they tend to deliver more consistently than the other two. So I'll say Mexican. I'll say Mexican style. I mean, there's a reason Golovkin used that to market himself, right? I'd say Mexican style. Yeah, nobody's ever dropped back. He probably got the best chin out of the current heavyweights. Even Joyce has been flawed, yep. Yeah, that is true as well. But yeah, that is true. It is largely, yeah, it's about your trainer, your body mechanics, your body, you know, your height, your reach, etc. There's a lot of things to consider in regards to style, but yeah, stereotypically, I think the Mexican style is the most entertaining. No, exactly. That is very true. And like 20 years ago, like if you Alexander Usyk's style would not be considered Eastern European if this guy was fighting 20 years ago. The Eastern European style then was straight up and down, stiff, no upper body movement, jab, right hand, you know, high guard, just basic shit. What is Usyk's style? What is that? Could you really call it Eastern European style? I don't know. A prime George Trivallo versus prime Ray Mercer, battle of the chins, who wins? Ray Mercer wins based on his jab, but yeah, on points. On points. Good fight though. That'd be a war. But I'd say Ray Mercer. I think Ray Mercer was more skilled, to be honest. Like Ray Mercer arguably beat Lennox Lewis. And why that fight was only a 10-rounder, I'll never know. Yeah, Papachenko style. Yeah, that's like, yeah, exactly. Ukrainian ballet. Yeah, best base for boxing, laugh out loud. Roy Jones, wide points, in my opinion, wide on points. I don't think he'll knock out Canelo, but I think he'll be wide on points. Yeah, Vachenko style. Roy Jones knocks out Canelo. I think he'll be on points. I think Canelo could protect himself okay, but he's just going to get outpointed, outsped to a wide UD. Oh dear. Yeah, the athleticism goes out the window, Duck. He just turns into a flat-footed bum. But yeah, in all seriousness, I got a prime Roy Jones. I got a prime Roy Jones. Masterclass. Sorry. Yeah, James Toney's one of my favourites as well. I like James Toney. Like I wish more fighters had his mentality in regards to fighting anybody, anywhere, anytime, kind of thing. Not in regards to his training regimen outside the ring, but James Toney fought pretty much everybody he needed to, for the most part. Exactly, intangible. I totally agree. Julian Jackson, I'd say. Probably, I think Julian gets to Jamal first. But Jamal, don't get it twisted. Jamal could definitely hurt Julian Jackson. He could. He could definitely hurt Julian Jackson. But I think Julian's just a quicker puncher, and I think he'll get there first and knock out Jamal Charlo. James Toney mentality. Any burger, anywhere, anytime. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if only James Toney could speak English. What you don't realize is he's a scholar in James Toney language. He's an absolute scholar. 142 IQ. But we're not lucky enough to realize that. $168, I would say. I'd say 168. That's what I'm saying, Sparks. Like Jamal Charlo would have a chance in that fight. I know the historians are going to cry, but Jamal Charlo would have a chance. But again, I do think Julian gets there first. I think Julian gets there first. It's a great fight, though. That's a really good fight. See, I still think cruiserweight now obviously isn't what it was a few years ago. No doubt about it. But there are some really good fights at cruiserweight to make. Like one that should be made soon is Egorov and Gulamarian. That's going to be a great fucking fight, people. That's going to be a war. Akole versus Briadis. Maccabi Briadis. There's some good fights to be made at cruiserweight. Yeah, he has had he's always had slurred speech, but like I was watching his interview before the Roy Jones fight, like it was him and Roy Jones on the same interview talking shit to each other. And you can noticeably tell the difference, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. Oscar Rivas is undisputed. He is indeed the only champion at Bridgerweight. There's no dispute. There's no dispute. People are saying it's the other way around, but like, honestly, does it? Neither one of those guys has really convinced me they want the fight. I mean, from what I understand, nobody's made an offer right now. Sauerland, to be fair, I like to pin things on Eddie Hearn, but Sauerland said they would make Akole an offer, and from what I understand, nothing's been sent. So make of that what you will. Make of that what you will. Like Intangible said, Briadis, I think it was Intangible, Briadis has been begging for the Jake Paul fight. So I don't know where Briadis is at right now. See, apparently, Levi, this is what I've heard about James Toney. Apparently, he's still very sharp. Like, I'm not taking the piss. Like, he's still, like, switched on, but, like, it's just his communication. It's his speech. But I've heard he's still very switched on. Like, very, like, witty and whatnot. That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. But who knows? Hopefully he's all right. Yeah, exactly. If James Toney slurs his speech, we should too. He has the proper dialect. Oh dear. Those old school Ellie Seckback interviews. They were the only Ellie Seckback interviews I would watch, is the James Toney ones. Apart from that, I would never watch Ellie Seckback. Never. Oh, is his book coming out soon? I'm not an avid reader, I'll be honest, but I might get that. I might get that. But yeah, James Toney was like the last throwback American fighter, in my opinion. He was like the last true old school American fighter. Like you could have put James Toney in a time machine and sent him back to the early 1900s and he'll be fine. He's that sort of guy, you know? He's that sort of fighter. Didn't always do it correctly outside the ring. We know that, but he was a fighter. He was a fighter at heart. He was a fighting man, as Tyson Fury would say. Yeah, Eli Sekbak. Yo, Maidana, do you like Argentina? Eli Sekbak, he's terrible. Eli Sekbak, like for an interviewer, his social skills are so bad. So bad. Honestly. Yeah, he should have retired a long time before he did. Honestly, he should have retired after like the second Samuel Peter fight. More than likely. Should have really retired then. It looks like Isaac Cruz could be fighting Ryan Garcia next. Don't be surprised if they go back and try and get the Rolly Romero fight. Yeah, Sekbak Spartoni. Yeah, exactly. I guess the speech is about delivery of thought, so to speak. So the thought process might still be sharp, and he simply can't articulate what he might be a reservoir of intellect beneath it all. Who knows exactly? Yeah, but I've heard he's still quite sharp, and that he's actually doing okay outside the ring. Like that's what I've heard. Like he works with young fighters now, and he's keeping himself busy, which is good. And I'm glad he's still in boxing as well. Like he is a boxing man through and through, James Toney. So I'm glad he's still involved, you know. But yeah, I mean, fingers crossed, he's good, man. He's my favorite of all time, James Toney. I wasn't around when he was fighting, but I'm talking about like going back and watching tape of old school fighters, and James Toney was always my favorite to go and watch, more so than Ali, more so than Tyson, more so than Roy Jones. Like Toney was my favorite to watch. When I first started boxing, I used to try and fight like James Toney because it looked so easy. He made it look so easy. And I tried to fight like that and I'd get my shit pushed in. I'd get swamped, overwhelmed, and fucked up. He made boxing look so easy, man. Just his style was just incredible to watch, man. Incredible. It was like he was boxing in his sleep sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Like so nonchalant, like slipping and sliding with punches by inches, taking the sting out of punches, coming back with his right hand counter. An amazing fighter to watch, man. Brilliant fighter to watch. Yeah, Floyd Senior is bad. Terry Norris is really bad as well. Terry Norris is really bad. And obviously Riddick Bowe, he's terrible as well. But there are some guys though, like Jake LaMotta, who died in his late 90s. Like he was still sharp towards the very end, where he took tremendous amounts of punishment. Like it varies from person to person. Some guys who have been through the wars, you'd think they are gonna be in a bad way, but it doesn't always work out that way. Like Chavez Senior, I think they realized his skull was like the front of his skull was like 5 or 6 times thicker than the average human. I think that's what they said with Chavez Senior, because he took copious amounts of punishment, Chavez Senior, but he's okay. He's not too bad. So it's one of those things, isn't it? It's one of those things. Certain guys, you look at their careers, they don't take the most punishment, but they end up in a bad way. Whereas others, it's the opposite, and they end up okay. Yeah, Tony hates on Canelo. I'm not a big Canelo fan as well, so it's another reason to like James Toney, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, exactly. Boxing on cruise control. That's exactly what it looked like. And sometimes that would get him in trouble. Sometimes he'd be too lazy, and he'd lose to guys who he shouldn't lose to, or get gift decisions against guys who he should beat comfortably. But when he was on form, he was so good to watch. Like the Iran-Barkley fight, for example, was a great performance by James Toney. Vasily Girov is one of my favourite cruiserweight fights of all time. You know, he was involved in some really good fights, man. Yeah, yeah. I think that's just Tank himself. You know, I think that's just how he is naturally, more so than anything. Tim Witherspoon, yeah, yeah, a defensively astute heavyweight in a really, really tough era. Bruce goes, and he fought some very good fighters. And like you say, he's as sharp as a tack. He's had his books. He travels. He does speaking engagements. Like he's fine. Yeah, same with me. Bump of K. There's something. How do I explain it? There's almost something relatable about that, right? You know, there's almost something relatable about James Toney, like cutting the corners, a bit of laziness here and there. I don't know, man. Baltimore dialect is for Scouts of the USA. That's why Tank sounds so bad. Yeah, exactly. We also don't see what happens in sparring too. When it comes to punishment, Ali, for example, was notoriously a poor sparrer. That's where you accrue most consistent damage. Day after day, it adds up. Yeah, that's true as well. That is very true as well. I forget who it was. I think a UFC fighter. I forget who it was. There's a UFC fighter who's like getting on in years, but he's still performing really well. I forget who it is, but he basically like does maybe one sparring session a week as he's gotten older, and he's like still performing at a real high level. He's kind of tailored his sparring as he's got older and older. So yeah, maybe fighters should really look towards that more. You know, that's true as well though. The sparring. Yeah, James Toney always had great respect for Mike McCallum. Yeah, Mike McCallum was a tremendous boxer as well. Body snatcher, the original body snatcher. Like his first fight with James Toney was technically a brilliant fight, but an exciting fight as well. Like back and forth, incredible fight. Like the countless adjustments from both guys. That's one of those fights, man, where if you want to learn boxing, that's one of the fights to watch. Big up to Guillermo, by the way. Big up to Guillermo. Yeah, we love a sport, but God didn't design the brain to be rattled like that. Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly. Yeah. And even things like cutting weight, like really, really big weight cuts where you're cutting a ridiculous amount of weight before a fight where you can't fully rehydrate, that in itself is going to cause more trauma on the brain in a fight. Things like that also add up as well. Not to mention like the other impacts of that, like a real big weight cut, time after time after time, can damage your kidneys. Things like that. There's other things to consider when it comes to the damage that boxing does on certain guys' bodies. I think it might be Teixeira. I think it might be Teixeira. It might be Teixeira. Or it could be Aldo. Maybe both. But one of those guys, I've heard, barely spars anymore. Yeah, I heard a story with Freddie Roach. He was sparring. I think it was in the wild card. And in between rounds, he wasn't drinking water. He was drinking like Pepsi. Like, do you know what I mean? That's the sort of guy he was. Yeah, that's my favorite Tony performance. Like, it was one-sided, but great performance. I think it's Ronald Ellis. I think it's Ronald Ellis. No. Mike Shepherd. Mike Shepherd, I want to say. Because he won the fight. I'm going to Google this now. I'm going to Google this. James Toney. I want to say Mike Shepherd. It was Mike Shepherd, yeah. And the fight before that was Charles Ellis. And he lost that Charles Ellis fight. Yeah, there you go. I was going to say Jason Gavin, but I realised it was Mike Shepherd. Good man. Bump of K. Tony Tony versus McCallum was the fight I showed my bro when we were on a come down a couple of years ago, and now he's got the boxing bug too. Great to hear, man. Yeah, rehydration clauses need to be banned. I've been saying this for ages. It's dangerous and provides an unfair advantage to the A side that usually demands it, e.g. Canelo. Yeah, rehydration clauses are terrible. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I don't like it at all. I really don't. Obviously, as well, mainly for the safety of the fighter themselves, but even from a consumer's point of view, it completely takes away from the fight itself, like going in. Yeah, that's how I was Nordic. So I used to love sparring. I used to love being in the gym, but outside the gym, I did nothing. Honestly, I used to run now and again, but honestly, I was lazy as fuck. And I just didn't take it seriously. It's one of those old stories. I could have been a contender, but yeah, I didn't take it seriously. I didn't take it seriously. And I was going to have my first amateur fight, but the guy who I was going to fight pulled out. I couldn't get a new opponent. Then life got in the way. I got a new job. Things changed, and I just couldn't, I couldn't keep up with it. But it is what it is. It is what it is. And that is one of my regrets in life, believe it or not, is not taking boxing seriously. Probably wouldn't have gone anywhere, but you never know. But yeah, I do regret that. Yeah, hopefully you had a good Christmas, Celtic Crusader. Big up to yourself. Big up to yourself. And have a great new year as well, man. I wish you all the success in the world. Yeah, I meant Charles Ellis, intangible. I meant Charles Ellis. I knew it was Ellis, somebody. I knew it was Ellis, but I don't know why I said Ronald. Bro, I know what you're saying, Jimbo. I know what you're saying, but I try and blank all that shit out and just enjoy it with my family and friends and just have a good time. And that's what happened. I had a good time. I ignored everything, just switched off for a couple of days, kind of thing. Yeah, it was good. Didn't do too much, but had a bit of food, had a bit of drink. It was nice. It was nice. And tomorrow, New Year's Eve, going out for a few drinks, with the lads, little house party. So that'd be all right. Oh yeah, he fought on for a little while. Yeah, very good boxer, Larry. Very good boxer. Exactly, Nordic. Yeah, exactly. It's what it is, though, man. You got to prioritize. You got to prioritize. It happens. Yeah, in a parallel universe somewhere, Blue Collar Sports has signed with Matchroom and is knocking out bums every couple of months. Oh dear. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, I was a tall, lanky guy. I had a kind of an awkward style. I was kind of like Lawrence Okoli a little bit. Had a little bit of power in my right hands, but once they got to the inside, I was useless. But I'd say if I could compare myself to anybody, I guess it's Lawrence Okoli. But he's obviously a lot fucking better. Yeah, never seriously got into boxing. Sorry, never seriously got into boxing because of the health risks. It's probably a wise decision. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Because a lot of those fights are short notice as well, so they can't really make the weight the opponents. So yeah, Don't worry, bro. You're destined for greater things than boxing. When I become a billionaire, I'll super chat you a few million. Thank you, Jimbo. I'll hold you to that as well. Big up to Jimbo. Bro, if you don't feel like you wouldn't have been elite, boxing isn't worth a trade-off in regards to health. Don't have regrets. God had a different plan for you. Brain damage for a Southern Area title, not worth it. Yeah, that is true. That is true. So we had a guy, I'm not going to say his name, but he fought, the best guy he fought was Derry Matthews, and I think he said his career highest payday was like $8,000. And that was like a good day, was $8,000 for his career highest payday. So there you go. And he had quite a few fights. I think so, bro. I'd imagine so, yeah, which is a shame. It's a shame. But what can you say? What can you say? I'm going to... Listen, bro, it is what it is. Oh, fuck. Yeah, a lot of people over here, they are far too docile, Duck, unfortunately. But, you know, can't worry. We can't worry about what other people are doing. We just got to make sure we've got our own house in order and better ourselves more so than others. It is what it is. Just do it for yourself and your loved ones. That's all you got to strive for. Is for yourself and those you love. Nordic. I do like a bit of Toblerone. I can't lie. I do like a Toblerone. You're being fattened up by the women in your life. In the parallel universe, I put Crawford to sleep. Yeah, I know. If I put a couple of former pros, better off not turning. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I've known a few boxers. Well, not known, but I've spoken to a few boxers from my local area. Matt Skelton actually did pretty well. He was actually pushing a Lambo at one point, believe it or not. Matt Skelton. He invested his money really well outside of boxing. He used to have a gym down in Bedford, and I used to train there for a little bit. He's a super nice guy, Matt Skelton. Really, really nice guy. Like, he'll talk to anybody. He's that sort of guy. And he had a good career, really, considering he turned really late. He was a kickboxer to begin with, and he turned pro, I believe, in his 30s. But seeing Matt Skelton in person, you'd imagine he's a lot bigger. Because, you know, when you see these guys on TV, these heavyweights, they look massive. But Matt Skelton's not really that big. But he's a nice dude, Matt Skelton. Larry, he says, I'm in the first year at uni and I've just found out that I've been docked 50% for an assignment because I handed it in late. I'm so stressed right now. Yeah, try not to think about it, man. I mean, it's done now. Just make sure it doesn't happen again. Let it be a lesson, bro. And you'll be more than fine. You'll be more than fine. It's just another lesson. It does, bro. Yeah, it does, unfortunately. Exactly, yeah. Like Bump of K said, yeah, I know this seems massive right now, but in a year's time it won't matter. Just enjoy New Year's and push on in 2022. Exactly. Cheers, Sci-Fi. Much appreciated, bro. Much appreciated. But yeah, we are the boxing side. This is the original channel. You can thank these guys for making the second channel because these guys kind of push me to make it. He'll get the fight, but he might not get the purse split he wants. I don't think he will, to be honest. Yeah, he was. It was him, Danny Williams, Audley Harrison, Michael Sprott, Martin Rogan was knocking around. They weren't great fighters, but it was fun. They were some fun domestic matchups. Yeah, but GB Guthrie, fully expect Dave Allen, Alan Babbage next year. That will happen next year. I'm sure of it. Exactly, bro. You know, can't look back on things and dwell and let it get you down, because at that point you're going to be in a state of stagnation. You're not going to get anything else done. Just got to brush yourself off and move forwards. I've learned that. I've made that mistake. You know, in my late teens, early 20s, I cost myself countless opportunities, relationships. You know, I fucked up, but I've realised going forwards now, just got to keep brushing myself down and keep on going. Nothing I can, you know, it's got to better yourself and learn from your mistakes. You know, because a mistake is worthless really if you don't learn from it. It's not a mistake at that point. A prime Danny Williams would have fucked up Dave Allen. Like, Danny Williams was actually a good fighter. I've got a Danny Williams popping out both his shoulders and knocking out Dave Allen with a scissor kick. Anyway, guys, I've gone on longer than I said. I need to watch this football, lads. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this one up. Hopefully, you guys have a great New Year. I'll try and do one of these again early New Year. So watch out for that. And I'd say February onwards, I'm going to try and really make the most of this channel as well. I'm going to up the upload schedule and try and take over the boxing game. But yeah, shout out to you guys. Have a great New Year. Don't get too drunk. Peace.